think this was a really good time to flip into this that I found on your Twitter here.
Okay, sure. The Decred puzzle. That was the Decred Exodus collaboration, and with a lot of my puzzles, they're collaborations now because they take 8+ people to create them, and we push them out within 4 weeks.
Wow.
Which is fast. So right now, actually, just a little plug. If you're familiar with the Pineapple Fund, which they put out $86 million in $1 million USD Bitcoin equivalent for nonprofits, charity work. They've actually received quite a few requests for donations on the individual level, and now Pine didn't want to just hand out the money. So we've collaborated, and he did that on his own. That wasn't part of the puzzle. Like, Romano just threw that in there. So, like, we found that out later that happened. But yeah, that finally was solved, and it took, the way we build these puzzles is they're basically an inception process. You have your portal, and then, which is a puzzle, and then it leads to the next level, which leads to the next level. And finally, the people that have, like, endured all the way to the end, and they'll decide along the way if they're going to share this process or not. And so by the time they get to the end, you know, like, it's the final level, and everybody knows that because the way we build it up, it's very dramatic.
Like an episode of Survivor, like, are you going to keep your alliance or not?
Everybody, yeah, and everybody builds their factions.
But there's like a network of like thousands of people that are involved in solving this process, like.
Yeah, but you get your final people, like they group into intelligence levels.
Yeah.
And people are like, you're not allowed to work with us anymore because you have little to offer.
It's pretty savage, to be honest.
But this is an incredible recruiting also process. So like my 20 developers are not just any 20 developers. Half of them come from being people that have solved past works. And so I know without a doubt, like, we have one of the most talented developer teams in the space.
That's awesome. Danny, so we met fairly recently. Actually, you helped out a Bob event when Andreas was here, which, by the way, join the Bitcoin Open Blockchain meetup because they have the coolest, best speakers come to town. They had Andreas Antonopoulos come to town a little while ago. They had 300 people signed up and then like another 300 on the wait list. So
they're the greatest in Chicago by far.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now, you did that, and then when I was throwing the December event, we met, and then I asked you to do a podcast, and I actually got to know you a little bit.
True story.
And you got an interesting background, so let's start from the athlete days, but do a quick overrun into where we are today. Let's do the 2-minute.
Okay, 1 minute synopsis. I was a high school athlete who played basketball, football, baseball, track, played college basketball, injured myself, decided I wanted to compete mentally instead of physically, turned professional poker player for 10 years, found blockchain and Bitcoin as a result of online poker being shut down by the FBI and Department of Justice in the United States in 2011. April 15th, coincidentally, my son's birthday. And I realized I can control my own assets instead of being at mercy of the banking system, and decided there was something more to this whole industry, and there was transparency and instant transactions, and it can be my own bank. And I decided, like, this is where I want to spend my whole entire future. And I turned 1,000% Bitcoin late 2013, and started Pinkcoin in 2014 in May. And I've just been kind of swimming in the space ever since. Found great people like Marquerite, who is coincidentally but not Pinkcoin's chief strategist, as well as being a pioneer in this whole realm and being like the most badass motherfucker in the whole entire space. But being completely honest and transparent and not being like, she's the GOAT. Like, so we just find people who are aligned with our value set and who are very great, and just try to like attach ourselves to them. And she's done some amazing work in the space. And yeah, we're just trying to pioneer the whole entire social impact for blockchain, or social good for blockchain space.
Thank you for being here, and we got to talk about your shirt as well and the coin that goes with it.
Just lifestyle, man.
When was the idea? How many of you guys understand proof of stake? You know what proof of stake is?
Couple. Okay.
Okay, so proof of stake in my head is I put some coins into my wallet,
Sure.
and my wallet is attached to the internet, and as being another set of eyes and using my computing power to make sure all the transactions are good, just like Bitcoin does, basically I get interest as the reward that makes it so that more and more people want to put their eyeballs on it. You get paid for the electricity you put in.
Yeah. So proof of stake is essentially the same as proof of work minus the physical computing hardware that you have to buy, the barrier to entry that is this miner. It's very similar in that you are exchanging your computing power via laptop, desktop, hardware, server, whatever it is, with coins in your wallet and your wallet on. You are verifying the transactions and authenticity on the network, and in exchange you're getting some proof of stake rewards, also known as interest, for those of you who use that as a who can use that as a something to wrap your head around the whole proof of stake concept. So you're getting interest through proof of stake rewards just for having coins in your wallet and your computer on, your wallet turned on. So we're using the proof of stake model to kind of reward those people who are holding their coins in their wallet, and also the charitable organization we're partnered with to have a wallet open and coins in their wallet.
So they're just getting staked constantly.
Yeah,
it's a one-way address.
It's kind of it's a one-way address that is whitelisted, so you can't spend the coins if you wanted to in what we call the Donate for Life, donate.with.pink. And they're getting a roughly 21% interest per year annually in staking rewards, which is a pretty good deal considering they're not having to buy any computing hardware and they don't pay for much electricity. It's just a reward being part of our network.
It's like buying a stock for that charity that always just kind of...
Yeah, I mean, we're forwarding the rewards to partner organizations in perpetuity, so it's giving a pretty good deal for the organizations we're partnered with.
Marquerite, how did you guys get involved on the project?
Well, I just wanted to say that Pinkcoin is not just proof of stake. So Pinkcoin is a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake. So it has the blending of both worlds where you have your blockchain verification through your proof of work algorithm. But you also have then the proof of stake, which signs all the blocks and says that these blocks are valid. So it's a double verification process. So you actually have more security through a proof of work, proof of stake hybrid than you do just proof of work. So I mean, yes, proof of stake, you can just talk about that, but the difference between having proof of stake and then adding the proof of work layer is important.
Yeah, it adds a security layer to people that are concerned about 51% attack.
Yeah.
It's definitely far less likely in a hybrid.
I really appreciate the hybrid model. Right now you have Ethereum, which is stuck on the proof of work model, and they're trying to figure out how to become proof of stake and like where that transition is going to happen. You know, like.
Do you think Casper will happen this year?
Well, I'm building a product hoping that Ethereum is going to figure their shit out. But like we're flexible enough to move elsewhere. But like I do think that Ethereum, as big as they are and as talented developers that they have, I mean, those developers they're very, very talented.
I mean, couldn't that part of it be just in a decentralized organization? Like, just like any organization, as you get bigger, you lose agility in some way?
Well, there are huge hurdles moving from proof of work or proof of stake, the proof of work to proof of stake model, with as big as they are.
Especially with $100 billion.
Right. So I mean, they have some serious hurdles to cross. But I do believe in the development talent behind Ethereum.
All right, let's talk some shit about coins. First one up, we're gonna go with the original. And I got your Neon District logo up there because it looks cool.
All right.
Yep. Dave, Bitcoin that's where everybody gets into it. What have you noticed in trading Bitcoin? What do you like about it? What do you hate about it?
Well, certainly one thing that pops up is volatility, right?
Sure.
I would call it hyper volatility. Last December it got up near 20,000, right? And then it fell briefly below 6,000, right? So, but that's since it started trading, that's about the fifth time it's lost about 70% or more of its value. And if you're going to get involved in trading or investing, and I think you want to be aware of just what you're dealing with. One of my favorite analysts at the end of last year, when it was near 20,000, he said, here's my prediction, here's my range for 2018, and he said, I think it could go down to 6,000, and I think it could go as high as 40,000 in 2018.
Is that already new, Paul?
No.
He's at
Because he was at CryptoCon, but he's
He said
one of your
6,000.
advisors.
He had the same
I was gonna
range
say.
as this other guy. No,
Higher.
no, but so when it dropped down, it wasn't a surprise. It's like it's that volatile, and if you look at, it's not so much I think that cryptocurrencies are inherently volatile in nature. I think it's the ecosystem that surrounds it that's just crazy, because there's nothing close to any type of standardized rules or regulations with all the different governments. And what's doubly crazy is the governments themselves cannot make up their minds. So in December of 2013, China banned Bitcoin. And they changed their mind, now it's legal. Now they're clamping down it again. South Korea was just thinking about banning it, now they're saying now we're going to professionalize it. So think about it, if the regulatory authorities were that crazy, like with our stock market, you know, if the SEC tomorrow says, we're going to ban the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ tomorrow. I mean, what happened to the price? It'd be crazy. I mean, it's nuts. And then, oh no, we changed our mind a few months later, no, it's okay. So the ecosystem, the regulatory authorities are just up in arms, and also there's a minimal amount of institutional participation. It's mainly retail, and I think most of it's coming from Asia. And until the governments figure it out and get on the same page, until the institutions start becoming more involved, I think it's going to continue to gyrate crazy. And you want to just have a perspective that when it goes down 70%, don't think, oh my God, can you believe it went down 70%? Go, yeah, I can believe it went down 70%. It's the fifth time it did it. So.
Right, you might as well have lost 100%. You might as well just hodl in and like strap on for the ride at that point.
But I think if you believe, the important thing is if you believe in the concept and if you think these cryptocurrencies are here to stay, I think it's a great buying opportunity. And there's no guarantees it's going to last. But if you believe in the concept, I think it's a great buying opportunity.
What do you think about this from risk management? I had one of the first guys I asked that I trust you as a risk manager, you know, New York Stock Exchange, London, and so forth. And he was like, yeah, absolutely buy Bitcoin. Because in Detroit, you know, his mom lost her whole pension, got paid out 10 cents on the dollar for her pension. Right? So you have a limited downside, but then you got this thing that's going up thousands of %. You at least should put some into it. It's bad risk to not even think about the opportunity. It's like a traditional trader. What do you think about that?
Well, if you do decide that it's right for you and you want to invest, whatever you invest, be prepared for it to go to zero. So don't invest more than you can lose either financially and or psychologically. Now you got this guy, Bill Miller. I don't know if anybody's heard of Bill Miller. He's a legendary mutual fund manager. He ran a fund for Legg Mason. And his claim to fame was he outperformed the S&P 500 for like 15 straight years. Pretty remarkable, okay? Now he runs his own cryptocurrency hedge fund. And in December when Bitcoin was under 20,000, his cryptocurrencies comprised 30% of his hedge fund. It's a pretty big, you know, what. And even now he says, if I had no crypto, I'd still go out and buy some to diversify my portfolio, to your point, Joe. But he goes, it could still be a fad. And he goes, I'm not sure it's going to last. But even if I were starting from scratch today, I would still add it to my portfolio. But it's a very personal decision. And whatever you invest in, be prepared both financially and psychologically to lose all of it. If it hits a big number. What's also interesting is the 4 times before recently that Bitcoin dropped 70% or more, subsequently it went up 20 to 100-fold. So we went down to 6,000. Does that mean now it's going to rally up to 120,000 to, you know, to 600,000?
What do we think?
I mean,
120. I think so.
if you think Bitcoin's volatile, wait till you get the rest
I'm
of
just saying, but that's been the gyrations in the past. So you're dealing with a hype, like Ari Paul calls it a hyper-volatile asset, which I think he's right. But just have some idea of the past history and just what the ranges are for this incredible asset.
I heard it called the bipolar double reflexive market.
That fits.
I don't know if that means anything, but it was really good.
I think bipolar is a good way to describe it. Yes. So.
All right. Your introduction to Bitcoin, you started seeing a lot of clones come out. How many clones of Bitcoin that aren't really getting developed are still coming out here? Are you seeing that a lot?
I mean, to be honest, it's a whole different ecosystem than it was in 2014 when I first kind of got accustomed to the space in altcoins. I think now everything's ICO, so there's a lot less clones. quote unquote, than there were back in the day. But there definitely are still some, but they're no longer fair launching. They're now ICOing. So
Do you have a hard feeling on the Bcash Bitcoin thing?
I mean, if you think Bitcoin's a volatile asset, I think Bcash and all these other altcoins and cryptocurrencies and ICOs are much more volatile. So because Bitcoin's like the driving force and everything's traded relative to Bitcoin, I think the volatility is compounded. If you're going up a lot more and Bitcoin's up, like you're going to compound your risk and compound your gains. So I mean, I don't have an opinion either way, but I think it's definitely it's definitely fun to watch.
I was just going to say that that's one of the features of Bitcoin. Like, there's a group that's not happy with the product development, so they get to split away and do their own development. Regardless of how you feel about it, as if is it the real currency, the ability to just do that is one of the features of Bitcoin.
Digital evolution, that's part of the ability to opt out.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and I don't see any harm with that. Just like, I mean, I regard myself as one of the creatives in the community.
What about the name?
So yeah, it's all fair game. All's fair in love and war.
I like that because the contest, they get savage. I mean, that's
Go for
part
it.
of the
If you
contest.
feel like you can bring the heat and you can pull people away, do it. That's part of the whole idea, is that there are no rules to break.
Yeah, I like that answer a ton. Why ERC? You know how you can tell that somebody is like a builder? Because you said 721 and you didn't say ERC 20, you didn't see ERC 223, you said 721.
Mm-hmm.
Why ERC 721?
Because it's right now what we're calling a digital crypto asset. So it's totally out of the realm of the SEC. It's not.
There's no ICO.
We are a tradable asset. There's no. Well, it doesn't even matter if you're like. It's not. We're just a. We're just a different category than what you have with the cryptocurrencies.
Interesting. Do you think a lot of things? So, in this, it's an RPG. What other use cases are you starting to see out there? I mean, the CryptoKitties started going, and then we saw the tulips, the breedable tulips.
Sure.
It's hilarious. And then CryptoTitties. Yeah.
Right.
That's on Spank Chain.
So what's neat about this is, for anyone that's ever played WoW or any other game.
That's World of Warcraft.
Right. So anyone that's ever played these games and you spent a year developing your characters, right? It's not just one, it's 5 really great characters that you invested time in. One's like a lightning mastermind and the other's, like this tank. So anyways, you get to this point where you're like, well, I'm done. I'm just done, I'm ready to move on. And now what? Nothing. Or you go sell your account on eBay, right? Or, so there's all these different options, but they're really annoying, and there's no convenient way to do this. So with these assets, it's really easy to build this in with the product that we have our in-game marketplaces, where now you can exchange character, you don't have to sell your whole account. So you can retain your legacy of your actual address, which becomes its own experience points. You can have your own legacy as your address, but then you can also have your characters, and you can auction them off as you like. And you can make it an income if you'd like to.
So you're saying you're bullish on Ethereum?
I'm really
That's
bullish
so
on
tough, isn't
smart contracts. Smart contracts.
Digital assets.
And digital assets are a really great, and I want to be there. Let's build it. If it fails, well, let's figure it out. It's exciting, and I want to be there as it's developing.
All right, I'm gonna move us to Litecoin now, because you guys were in the space when Litecoin came out. Did you think it was a scam when it first came out? Do you think it was just copying?
If I'm being completely honest, that was my entrance into crypto. I got into Litecoin first before Bitcoin because I had a Bank of America account, which sadly has been shut down since then. And I was able to buy Litecoin directly through a site called Litetree with the online Bank of America transfer. And I bought Litecoin at $13 before it went to $300 in 2013, and made 20x my money in the first month, and was hooked ever since.
Well, and mining Litecoin in the beginning was really fun.
Really profitable on script, yeah.
It taught everybody that you could mine script coins
Yep.
and make a lot of money. It's just kind of like the ICO. Mining script coins is the equivalent of ICOs today.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
So I have, why I don't hold more than 5 currently is my soft spot in my heart.
Because you went Charlie Lee on it, you're like, he's going, I'm going. It was like the last scene of Backdraft. You're like, you go, we go.
Yeah.
Well, he's sold out, right?
Well, apparently, we don't know.
We don't know. Like
We don't
he
know.
said publicly that he
Yeah.
no longer had a vested interest, but who knows? People are liable to.
So she was talking about that there are no rules to the game. So Bcash is up now, and what if, in your opinion, seeing that happen from a traditional trading point of view, you're like, I'm gonna just go say that like my fund is the same name as, I'm gonna call my fund Goldman Sachs, right? And then tell everybody Goldman Sachs is not the real Goldman Sachs. And I happen to have their website too, so I'm gonna tell them other things, right? And is all fair in love and war? Or from the traditional point, can you really wrap your head around it? Or is it, from the traditional point, it's even stronger? It's just battle.
Well,
Do
like
it.
if you own Bitcoin, you get Bitcoin Cash for free, right?
You did.
I like that.
You did.
Yeah, you
Not any
did.
longer.
I mean, let's cut to the bottom line. You get free money, okay?
What about now?
I think Bitcoin Cash was. I think the backers behind it. I think their thinking was it's going to help solve some of the scalability problems of Bitcoin, or what you call Bitcoin Core. And I think it's probably faster, cheaper, and it's got some advantages. But I think it's about. I think there's over 1,500 cryptocurrencies today. I still like just the original Bitcoin the most. It's the 800-pound gorilla, and this is sheer speculation. Who knows how it's going to play out? But I think this Lightning Network that's going to debut later this year, and I think helps solve some of their scalability issues. So if it scales better and it gets faster and it gets cheaper, I think the value of the Litecoin is probably going to go down.
I mean,
Relatively to that, and I
shout
think
out
some of the
Jack
others,
Mallers.
maybe even
Yeah.
the Bitcoin Cash too, and who knows how the whole space is going to evolve and morph. We're in we're like in the top half of the first inning of a 9-inning baseball game, I think, right now.
Yep.
And it's going to be fascinating to see. I don't think anybody knows for sure how this thing's going to play out.
I don't think so either. Shout out to Jack Mallers and the Zap Lightning Wallet.
Bitcoin Mom's son.
Chicago.
Yeah, in Chicago, another community member here that's building something awesome.
But if I'm
Basically,
being-
the best UI Lightning wallet
incredible.
that there
It's
is right
amazing. And if I'm being honest, like I think I sent a Bitcoin transaction with Segwit yesterday for 9 cents at the highest
now.
possible level on my Trezor yesterday. So got there within 20 minutes. Thank you very much, Segwit. I think the scaling issue and the transaction fees, at least in my opinion, seem to be solved at this point. Like,
And if we're really talking about scalability, you're gonna solve the problem that you can always increase the blocks by a magnitude, right? And it increases throughput to a certain extent where the bandwidth happens.
Sure.
But the biggest problem then is as you increase the blocks, eventually you get too many orphan blocks to the point where the chain no longer knows which one is the true chain. So you have so many orphans that it can't decide, and eventually it just implodes. And think of like a rope just like unraveling entirely and has no more strength behind it, right? It's just boom, gone. And that's a throughput problem as well as just a block size. You don't know, you'd either run into a limit of bandwidth of block or you run into a thing. So what do you think about
that's
that?
the extreme example, I think. But as long as there's Segwit Lightning Network and
Like there's no need to, is that what you're saying? To go that high?
in my opinion, I don't think there's a need for a megabit block. Like, I think we've seen in the last 2-3 months, ever since this whole issue's been kind of more or less, not, I wouldn't say solved, but ever since Bcash stopped putting up a fight to like blow blocks, I think we're all good. Like, there hasn't been the same $100 transaction fee that we saw months ago. I think it was a war, and I think one side clearly surrendered.
Yeah,
If I had to be honest.
that's an interesting way. Is that how you see it as well, or you have anything?
Well, I think there's dirty tricks going on too. I mean, like I said, it's war, right? So there's things being played that may not be perceived, like to the normal person that has nothing to, no idea what's going on in this space. You may not realize that someone's purposely bloating the chain.
Do they need to know? if you're investing, do you need to know?
And
or
right,
no?
and that's the point, right? Like, can you break the chain? Can you break the other person's chain? And that's part of the game, right?
Mhm.
So you have this dev war happening, and I'd say the Bitcoin devs did really well. I mean,
Yeah.
they're full on developing these other solutions right now where with Lightning, you know, like everybody's really on board and excited about it. And you have people flooding Lightning and saying, well, you know, maybe it has these downsides that are going to break the ideologies behind Bitcoin, and you get into this, you know, deep philosophical conversation. But in reality, the cypherpunks were the ones building Bitcoin. So if they were the ones that felt like something was being compromised on a philosophical level, you would see a huge schism happen.
Yeah. The fact that all the core developers are still together in the core, or a lot, many.
A lot of them, and they're bringing on more. You're seeing more dev teams come on. So, you know, you had originally, you had, I forget the group that was doing, but you now have more dev teams are coming, joining the ranks.
Right.
So it's becoming more decentralized in the development.
Right, that is a cool thing. I think, what do you think about the one implementation versus like a parity get, like Mess kind of?
Well, there's more implementations.
Right.
There's more than just.
Why does everybody focus on that? Where does that come from? Does that mean anything? Do they have a point, or is this just something everybody sees?
So they were scared originally that more than one implementation of Bitcoin meant that we were going to fork and that there was going to be a problem. But now, like, we're seeing the strengths that, like, oh, you have now Bitcoin in Go, and now you have Bitcoin in C, and like maybe that's a good thing. And now you're going to have more languages of Bitcoin in different languages, and that this is strengthening the core protocol.
Yeah.
And that there hasn't been a huge catastrophe.
I think that's important too. That ability to opt out there, having the multiple implementations, gives you an option. You know,
And development talent. And now you have with Go, we're bringing in all these app developments.
Cardano was just up there. We're going to go through that real fast. Does anybody have anything to say on Cardano here?
What the fuck is Cardano?
There you
It
go.
came out of nowhere like 4 months ago, and it's like a top 10 market cap. Like I've heard of it, I understand what it is, but like why in the top 10?
Do any of you guys know if Charles Hoskinson is really an asshole? Or does just everybody say that on Twitter?
I hear he was good helping co-found Ethereum.
Yeah, he was the CEO of Ethereum at the game.
I heard he was kicked out pretty good too, though.
I told you we were going to shit talk coins. It was shit talk space coins.
There we go. Let's go.
Neil.
And shares on crack.
Is that a China?
And shares on crack, if you got his and shares, you were pretty lucky, right?
Yeah.
But does it have a purpose, or is it just going to be one of these you see like?
I mean, from
some
my
bullshit
understanding, it's
ICOs
like one of the
come up?
most bloated blockchains out there, and it's really like a developers and a exchanger's nightmare. I mean, I have nothing bad
Well,
to say.
it's a different market, right?
Yeah.
So they've really marketed a different like culture right now.
Well, that's
Chinese.
interesting that from the tech side, that was really a tech to market answer. Like, and a lot of times I get boiled down on like the fundamentals, looking into what are people thinking about the tech, how is that progressing, and I think to myself, like, why would you buy Ripple or like a Tron saying like it could go up? Like, you know it's bad. I always compare it to buying the DVD set of the Cosby Show. Like, you know there's an issue there. There's plenty of other things that you can enjoy yourself with. Like, just go buy Seinfeld, man. Like, why do you gotta invest in Ripple or Tron or, you know, something that you see this big downside to?
That's a great idea, Joe. Seinfeld coin.
I say it's all out.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Well, let's do it. I'm sure it'll work in this market. Tomorrow we're going to see Seinfeld coin. I guarantee it didn't come from us, though. You know, this is getting filmed. So Litecoin was already up. We discussed that. Stellar. People are talking about Stellar. I'm seeing it go around.
I mean, isn't it from the same founder of Ripple, Jed McLowry or whatever his name is? Like,
Yep.
I mean, I think they're
Do
trying.
you think he's greedy?
I can't answer that honestly. I have no understanding of
Do you
what his
think he's
motivation
adding
is.
value to the ecosystem? Marguerite?
All I know about Stellar is I had people that I respect tell me to think about it. So that made me pause and look at the market from a trading perspective, but I didn't actually give time to look at the fundamentals.
I own some of that. That makes a difference.
Okay, yeah. There is sometimes you just don't know just yet if, but you don't know anybody who's developing on it.
I mean, so what the whole issue is everyone who does an ICO knows that ERC20 is the best thing to do to raise the most amount of money. So I know Stellar and Neo and all these other coins want to do ICOs, but no one wants to deviate from ERC20 tokens because it raises the most amount of money, and you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot from the jump if you decide to do an ICO on some other blockchain.
And you have to prove to everybody that it's going to be
Yeah,
good and
so
sufficient and work.
You're pretty much saying I'm going to raise a quarter of the capital at most from the get-go if you do another chain. So I think while it may have some legitimacy, no one's going to take the risk.
Well, it's not even just that. It's like also with like my project, which relies on Ethereum. Availability to Ethereum is huge. Like it has a USD Ethereum market, and that's really important for a product.
What about the frameworks, like the build-outs? Like if you're in trouble and like the fact that there's an ecosystem already built around it. I always thought that was like why.
It is important, but but accessibility and getting people like you want to build something, just like being an entrepreneur. You want to build something, and how are people going to get to it? Like, do they have to go through this super niche thing, like where like Bittrex is not even taking signups anymore?
Yeah.
They're not even taking new users. So I'm not going to just do a Bittrex specific product. I'm going to do something that people can access. And Ethereum is one of the most, besides Bitcoin, is one of the most accessible cryptocurrencies.
I see. That makes a lot of sense for you guys. Does that clear up a little thoughts on Stellar for you guys? Are there any questions from out there in terms of Stellar?
Dan Novaez.
Dan the man.
They actually reached out to us, but they actually said, we didn't end up doing a public ICO or a token sale, but they said that we could take their way if we integrated with them. So I think they have like some sort of thing, at least for what they're pitching companies that are building it on
So you're saying they're pitching companies that if you do the ICO with them, somehow you can take Ether still.
Yeah, but it's
accept
no
it.
longer a smart contract. They're just accepting US dollars, Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever else it is. And
That might be
you're putting your product on the Stellar blockchain. You're not. There's no smart contract involved, like especially if you sell it privately.
The raising money component of it.
Yeah.
In theory, you could raise Ether with it as well. That's what they were like pitching.
Well, side note is that a lot of ICOs are now, and shout out to Dan Novaez's current amazing product. Hope you guys enjoyed his talk earlier, but a lot of ICOs are deciding after they raise money in ERC20 tokens and in their ICO that they're going to change their own blockchain. So an example of that would be Wax, where they're later on this year they're going to one-to-one swap from ERC20 to whatever their blockchain they develop is.
Yeah, Omisa Go is doing that as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are concerned that with the Byzantine hard fork that Ethereum did earlier, 2017, that there is no control from the development standpoint if they're doing an ERC20 token. The Ethereum developers have all the control, and with if they own their own blockchain or if they're on another blockchain, that they have a lot more control and a lot more ability to implement what they're desiring. Whereas on Ethereum, they're just kind of like handcuffed to whatever the Ethereum developers want at their whim. So I think you're starting to see a lot more ICOs raise money ERC20 and on the Ethereum blockchain and then just swap immediately or whenever they have the capacity to do so, a couple months out, just be their own blockchain or whatever else they develop on.
Well, let me ask you this, David, that we just got EOS popped up here. And I want to get your thoughts on a $1 billion raise over the course of a year. If somebody said that to you 10 years ago, that this company is doing $1 billion raise over the course of a year, and none of the money is going towards building the product, it's going towards building the ecosystem around the product, what would you say?
Well, I wouldn't invest for one.
But what if Brock Pierce is behind it?
Well,
Or Dan Larimer.
the way I look at this whole ICO thing is just fascinating to me, and I think it's going to continue to explode. And there's I forget the name. There's a gambling site in the UK, and they bet on sports and they bet on anything, including what's going to be the next Fortune 500 company to launch their own coin. So you already have Kodak coin, but Kodak's kind of been comatose for several years. And then Burger King has the Whopper coin in Russia.
What's the name?
Yeah, that was really fun. I spent 5 hours that night. I had a couple too many old fashions trolling all of crypto Twitter with hashtag diarrhea at Whopper Coin. That's my introduction to crypto Twitter.
But according to the scaling site, they have 5 candidates who they think are going to be the next one to launch their own coin. It could be Apple. What if you have an Apple coin? And you get that Apple coin and you get loyalty points and all sorts of stuff.
Just ask Tron, they know.
You got, how about Amazon? Amazon coin. They've been buying up for URLs.
Well, they have it. They have their own coin already.
Yeah.
Like 2 years.
They're, McDonald's. What if the kids have like a Ronald McDonald coin token? I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of these. If you're that big and you have, well, I look at 2 things in the token. Number one, is there a utility value? So I look at these big corporations like as their own private country, and if you're own private country, you need your own private currency, right? But
Right.
I'm not going to use your currency unless you have some goods and services to back it up. So what's the utility backing up your coin, right? But also the network, the size of the potential buyers is important too. So I look for utility and I look for potentially a large network. But I think a lot of these ICOs are just get-rich-quick schemes. I think most of look at the dot-com era of the 1990s. Most of those dot-com companies went bankrupt, right? But the technology, the internet's not going away. It's one of the most profound, transformative technologies in the history of this planet, right? And I think these cryptocurrencies have the potential to do the same thing. But I think most of these ICOs ultimately are going to go away. Just
What about
sheer,
securities,
and
then?
I have no idea, just an opinion for what it's worth, sheer speculation on my part.
What's your thought on securities? You mentioned if
Ethereum?
ICOs no, that's not Ethereum, but what about, you mentioned if they have utility. What if they have if they're security backed? They're a security based ICO.
If they have utility, then there's something there. There's something
But not
there.
utility. What if they give ownership to their entity?
Like an actual, a lot of the ICOs they think they don't have to do any of the legal work, right? That's what we've seen over the last year. But what if they do represent shares in a company?
Yeah.
And it's just
Oh, if they're
tokenized
security?
securities.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think that's coming through?
But whether or not, I look at it from an investment standpoint, just even if it's a security, it doesn't mean I want to buy it. That means nothing to me. What do I get for my security? I get if you have, the SEC is trying to classify these cryptocurrencies as securities, right? Which I really don't buy, because to me a security is like an equity, or maybe it's a bond paying interest, but that's like, let's say it's a security.
Sure.
But ultimately from an investment standpoint, what do I get? I have a percent of what? What do you give me?
Well, I can give you an example right now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm an investor in Coin, which is the Nolan Bushnell token
COIN.
for the Atari movie that's coming out.
Okay.
So right now it's got a utility launch, and later you'll have an exchange for the security token, and they
Okay.
have an entire legal team backing them up.
Okay.
Makes it completely legitimate. And so then once that launches with the security, I will own a percent of the Atari movie.
Okay. And this is potentially can make money.
Right, so I will receive the
Okay.
dividends from the movie. And I'm saying that's one of the first real world use cases that we're seeing with the security tokens. And I'm not saying that it's going to be profitable,
Okay.
but like it's an opportunity.
It could be profitable, and it could be even if it's not profitable, maybe if I hold your coin, there's some real goods and services I can get for it, The kids might be excited about holding a Ronald McDonald coin.
Yeah.
And maybe, hey, if you own 10 Ronald McDonald coins, you get a free Whopper.
Whopper. What?
I think
Let
I'm
me
going
know
to start
after
giving out
Whopper.
CBP coins.
I haven't gone fast through that for a long time.
If you guys come to a meetup, I'll give you a CBP coin.
There you go.
We'll do
But I'm
that.
saying
You
there's
guys
some-
want collectibles?
But there's something tangible I can get. Either I'm going to make money or something I want to use or consume. There's something behind it other than, hey, this is just the latest craze, ICO. And there's a lot of that, I think, going around right now. So you got to do like anything else, you got to do your homework and kick the tires. And what's behind that coin?
Any single investment in crypto, you have to do your homework. You could have been trapped in Bitcoin Connect had you been in the Bitcoin Cash phase hype
Well,
earlier.
Just to give an example.
Be connect!
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Just to give an example of like the availability to make an income, though, like the ERC 721 token that we're building, you can have this character you're developing through your RPG, but then you can also offer a services rendered. So say I develop a fire mage, then later on I can offer special abilities in the marketplace for the mage that then I can teach other people this ability on my passive mode and then bring in a sort of like mining ability through my services rendered. and reap revenue in that sense. And maybe it's an ETH or maybe it's an in-game currency, but the point is that there's a whole bunch of exploration here that is yet to be
it's
discovered.
all untapped. It's really like
And ways to make
we're
money.
in the infancy, for sure.
Somebody was joking, like, so what if my character wears a Nike shirt? Like, well, is Nike gonna pay me, a little bit of money? Like, I was like, well, hey, maybe if you're like, the man. Like, yeah.
How many followers do you have?
I think that's great. I don't think we could possibly imagine what people are going to do with these tokens.
No,
They're going to get very, very creative.
We're
Right,
like
absolutely.
in the infancy. The infancy of the infancy.
Infancy,
We're like very at the bottom level.
Like in the hotel or the hospital room, hopefully not the hotel room, the hospital room.
We're pushing.
Like,
We're not even birthday.
We're pushing. Nem. I feel like Nem is the #1 coin that nobody knows jack shit
By the
about.
way, shout out to Nem. Met them at BlockCon. Love them. Great people behind it. What I
Yeah.
can say about that.
I mean, that's the thing, right? We're super biased because once you've been in the space long enough, you get really biased because you know the people
Yeah,
producing the product. So,
sure.
All right. IOTA.
well, that's Charles Hoskins.
Does anybody have anything good to say about IOTA today?
I mean, I have friends who bought an SEO who that
That's
raised
pretty good.
like 1,337 Bitcoin that is now worth like one Bitcoin worth $10 million. So I mean, it's probably pretty good for them. But I heard the blockchain's broken. I have no experience, but
Yeah.
Well, it's a very different type of, I don't know if you call it coin. I mean, it's got no block, no chain, no miners. And I think it trades on maybe what the Binance exchange and maybe one other exchange. It's kind of a,
But the Binance is a pretty
Yeah.
big exchange.
yeah, so.
Bitfinex. It's on the creepiest of all the creepy uncle of exchanges.
Yeah.
Something about Bitfinex. Am I the only one that just thinks that,
I
yeah?
think Bitfinex is generally has a pretty good reputation,
Yeah.
even after the hack.
they have the second largest
Yeah,
cold
is it?
storage wallet of
Yeah.
any exchange ever. Like it's Bittrex #1, Bitfinex #2.
There's just something about
If your
it.
coin gets listed on Bitfinex, you're not doing bad.
Yeah, there's
No,
like,
no,
what, like
that-
20 of them?
Absolutely not. No,
Well,
they-
I think
they
is
do.
you look at all these exchanges and, are they fast, are they cheap, whatever, but to me, the #1 thing is, is my money safe?
Yeah, what exchange do you trust the most?
Boy, that's a good
It's
question.
it's on the tip of your tongue. Just
Yeah,
say
where
it.
do you-
We all know.
Yeah.
I'd probably go with Coinbase, right? I don't know.
Coinbase?
Okay.
Well, you
Coinbase,
agree.
The problem is that, if you really want to be safe, you want to go the cold storage route, right? You don't want it to be online. If it's off, if my,
Yeah, you
if my
control your own private keys. You control your own assets. So it wouldn't be an exchange, period. But like, if you had to trust one exchange, what would it be? And you're saying Coinbase?
For the little coins, not the big coins.
Yeah,
Like,
whatever-
where do
whatever
you go
you have.
trade the little things?
What's the most faith you have in the exchange?
Oh, boy, I don't know.
How many exchanges do you trade on?
Well, right now, we're very basic. We only do a few of them, and we only really focus on 5 or 6 coins, and the biggies.
So it's Coinbase and that's it,
Bittrex is
really?
okay. Coinbase.
Bittrex.
I like Coinbase. Kraken's okay. Bittrex, Bitfinex. There's a bunch of them.
What about you, Marguerite?
Yeah, but it's like they can all get hacked, right? They're all.
Well, if I can, I trade on Bitfinex.
It's,
Or, sorry, not Bitfinex.
this thing with
Never
CoinCheck
traded
in
on
Japan, they
Yeah.
just took away $500 million. It's just the Wild West out there. I'm very anal, so we'll do it as part of, but I like cold storage.
Yeah,
You like to hold.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
a
just.
hodler too. I don't trade on Bitfinex. I lost faith in them years ago.
Okay, so I wasn't the only one.
I exclusively hold if I'm holding cryptocurrency on any exchange, unless it's like some really, really obscure coin that I'm trying to accumulate because I think it has long-term potential. The only exchange that I hold any cryptocurrency on that I believe in and have faith that's not going to get hacked or just insider trading fucked is Bittrex. That's it.
Bittrex,
I don't keep any coins on Polo. I don't keep any coins on anything else.
No,
Bittrex
and
exclusively.
I've met the Bittrex owners in person.
Yeah, I know them in
and
person too.
they are, they're top-notch people.
Yeah.
You really can't get better people than
Bill,
Bittrex.
Richie,
Yeah.
Julian, they're the top of the top. I trust them with my.
They haven't been hacked yet?
with my
No, they
practice.
haven't, and they
at all.
take a lot of precautions to prevent it.
They're the only
And
ones
if they
that-
ever, they're phenomenal in how they're handling
They're the
their
only
business.
ones that have all the legitimate paperwork signed with the SEC and every
Yeah.
every jurisdiction they could possibly be in, and they took the liberty to stop new registration when they were overwhelmed with support to not flood themselves and wanted to scale. So I think I trust them personally
Okay.
really well.
So Dash is up here. Is anybody else surprised that Dash didn't have a Super Bowl ad?
No.
I thought they were gonna have a Super Bowl ad.
Well, that's because Amanda quit.
Did she?
Yeah, she quit a while ago.
They would have had a Super Bowl ad if she.
Probably.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I just remember Dash at Darkcoin. Do you remember Dash Darkcoin?
Of course. I
Anybody
made
else?
the first wallet, the first
Did anybody
puzzle.
else hear of Dash when they were Darkcoin? Or show of hands? No? Okay. So Dash used to be called Darkcoin back in 2014, and they rebranded to Dash, and Darkcoin was like the first anonymous coin, quote unquote, in the marketplace. And it was like a 7-day mining period. All the developers mined all the coins, and I think they still own like 60+%.
Well, that's back when it was okay.
Yeah, back when instant mining and ninja mining was okay. And Dash is very centralized and good branding. Good for them. Congratulations.
And that's why you now have master nodes as well, because that's a really good idea to do when you hold all the coins.
Yep.
Huh.
Well, Dash is-
Centralized staking.
But
Oh.
you got a lot more masternode coins that are forking off of that have had really
So
interesting.
masternodes is like a huge hot word that we actually, on Pink, we researched that if you could have a masternode, it was going to really connect with the new user base.
Yeah.
Like, that was a thing that was resonating. And we were thinking like, well, and our developers they would not have it. They were like, there's no way that we're adopting a masternode philosophy in any shape or form.
Yeah.
So, but we found that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Dash has a quicker mining time, right? It's done about, 2.5 minutes as opposed to 10 minutes for Bitcoin.
Sure. There's a lot of coins that have like 30 seconds and 10 second blockchain.
And I think it's been getting some play with merchants, right? Accepted
Yeah.
as, so it's got some validity there.
What has huge traction, right? And it's got really successful marketing.
They
You
got
can't,
money.
you
They got
can't
good marketing.
downplay Dash's marketing.
They can
Yeah,
pay for marketing.
Branding is insane. Good for them.
Yeah, no, they have a very good scheme with
That's
paying
smart.
their, yeah.
Do you think coins should have a treasury? If you were to do a coin now, if you were to set up a coin now, would you set it up so that there was a treasury?
There's a huge movement for dev subsidies built into the blockchain so that a certain percentage of the coins mined goes straight direct to the dev team, and it's kind of like a pre-mine built in.
Yeah.
And so you have that now, and do I think it makes sense? I mean, it depends on the developers and the users. I mean, they're willingly accepting it or not.
Interesting idea there. The Monero, that's a real private coin. Everybody respects Monero.
Yep.
Is there anybody that hates Monero? Doesn't respect Monero? Well, then we don't need to discuss it anymore.
I love Monero personally.
Yeah, Monero is actually a really great,
Really great.
project.
Like amazing product.
The only bad thing I ever heard was that at Consensus last year, when Fluffy Pony was talking about the big announcement he was going to make.
He's amazing at funding his own coin, which I actually appreciate a
It
lot.
was an artistic moment.
Yeah, it was
like,
amazing.
He
It
was
was.
making an artistic, it was like
I don't
real
care
life.
about the price of this coin. Like, forget everyone who tries to pump this thing. Like, I'm gonna just stop that right now and thwart that.
Right. He just stops the
Yeah,
phone.
it's amazing.
And then when they were talking about the announcement, he announced that he's making a big announcement just to get all those people back into it.
Yeah.
And then make a point by like dropping a video that's like a minute video, like the cheesiest like car commercial ever, just explaining what fungibility
I'm
is.
pretty sure he made it himself at his
Yeah,
home.
for sure.
Yeah, definitely made it home. It's like make
Just
your own
flooding
marketing
himself.
video thing.
Yeah, good for him.
We're not going to talk about Tron because we all agree it's all just kind of bullshit, right?
Do we?
Do we? I don't
Do we?
know. I don't know.
I agree. I completely agree. Like, how do they come out of nowhere in 2 months to the top 10? Like,
Is that it, or is that
Guys
just
doing
like-
marketing.
I've heard, so okay, I'm biased because I hear that gaming is going to be 2018. Gaming and security tokens, right? So Tron's kind of trying to claim this space in the gaming world of crypto. And I've heard lots of people reach out to me and say like, well, why aren't you building a Tron? Why aren't you using Tron? And
lots of people that you
that
trust?
to me is saying that their marketing is effective.
yo, honestly,
Marketing.
I feel like Tron is like Ghostface Killer in the background, like,
I don't
yo,
know.
what up, Tron?
I don't know that
Alibaba
it's
what?
legitimate, but what I'm saying is that they're
Just
claiming
Microsoft in the house.
this marketing of the
Like, what's going
gaming
on here?
space. So like that to me says something. Like, and that's the thing. Like everybody's playing hardball. Nobody really knows what's going on when they get into the space. There's very few that are educated enough to make, decisions based on facts.
Sure.
So even like people, one of the most popular things going around is that they have a plagiarized white paper. So outside of
Yeah. But nobody
like,
knows that. Like very few know. I bet very few here would know that.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about that is if I just see that going around on Twitter, and then all of a sudden I say that here, and all you guys are like, "Oh, Tron's got a plagiarized thing."
But it's
None
already,
of us check sources.
it's
or
already
anything.
launched too. Like, it doesn't
You
matter
know?
anymore.
Who knows?
It would matter if it was an ICO stage, but since it's launched, it doesn't matter.
Well, and it depends because a lot of people made money in less glamorous ways
Yeah.
in the space that are needed.
If you're just
So,
dropping
people could be
Alibaba, like,
and
you're good.
I'm pretty sure they weren't ignorant of the fact that what they were doing was totally.
Well,
you know,
who's going
not
to take the
legitimate.
time to read a white paper? I mean, I'd rather say they're legitimate. I got better things to do. I mean, it's, you have to go through the white paper and really study it and understand it.
Especially when you start to get down a little bit further. Lisk. Actually,
They
until I
rebranded?
made this, I had
Rebranded, right? Didn't they rebrand?
yeah, they rebranded.
They
Until
did?
I did this, I had no clue that was
That's the
their
same, right?
their
That's
their.
No, that's a logo, but didn't they rebrand to something else? I think they rebranded. Anybody else have any idea what they rebranded to? No?
So back in 2016, Lisp blockchain totally stopped. It died. It just broke.
Right, and
Find
now
out.
they're just doing a.
And then they continued on, but like you have your generation of people that during that time period that will never forget that. So I mean, they can go on to do whatever they want, but people will never forget that like their change is totally.
People don't forget.
It wasn't the first one to.
I mean, but it was like a
to be honest.
sincere catastrophe. It was one of the biggest like catastrophes.
V-Chain. We're gonna go through some real quick. We're gonna do a little lightning round, and then we're just gonna go have some drinks with you guys because I think you guys are getting
Oh
the
my
information
goodness.
Yeah.
you wanted. I
Sorry.
think what we're presenting this for is, for me, it was very informational to talk to a lot of people who either had a traditional trading background and were looking at the markets in that way, or had a lot of experience, you know, over years of seeing what these trends and the things happen in the
That's
space.
the rebrand, by the way.
Oh,
It's just a logo.
it looks like a community college like
That's-
Right.
logo.
So
or something.
Yeah.
anytime your stuff breaks, you just rebrand,
Yeah, that's it. It's the secret to life.
and that's it. The break, that really is. That's it.
Like, we got a couple.
It's
People
better.
seem
It's
to
better
really
now.
like Lisp.
It's the Japanese coin, I guess, right? Like,
It's
it's,
a-
Right.
it's
And then
great.
there's a bunch of them. Like Qtum is basically trying to do the same exact thing, right? And are they just forced of each other? And then there's Hashcoin out of China, which is doing the same exact thing.
by 8 shares.
8 shares was a Decred IFO.
Well, they
you guys know what
added more.
IFOs are? That's an initial fork offering, right? So you fork another coin,
And
you
you're
rebrand,
worth twice the market cap as they are.
and
Good
then
job.
I can't wait to get that guy and John McAfee together. Because this dude, I got the info coming to me saying the guy from H-Share, after he was at one of our events before, and I was like, oh man, this is rough. He said that he would eat his own shit on live TV if H-Share didn't go up 300%. So I don't know what's wrong with the dudes in the crypto space, but you know what John McAfee said he'd eat?
His own dick.
That was. So,
At 500K though.
right.
2 years.
Right, at least he
A year and a half left, and John McAfee's eating his own member
on TV.
on live TV.
On live TV. So an interesting space. That also says a little bit about who to trust. But I hope you guys get like some of the value that I got out of talking to people who have been in the space a little bit longer. How you assess it, because I think being around newer people, you just don't hear the same things.
Yeah, I mean, people don't have the experience and don't know the generation stories of a lot of these blockchains. So they end up like falling victim to the hype of Twitter. Because let's be honest, Twitter is where 80% of the knowledge comes from. The other 20% is Reddit and Telegram. And if you are just on Twitter and perusing and seeing the hype and the shilling that goes on, you're going to fall victim to buy my bags.
Right. Anybody's
And
saying
Ethereum
anything.
Classic is right up here right now, which if you know anything about Ethereum Classic and know anything about Twitter, you're seeing Callisto, their hard fork or the airdrop or whatever they're calling it these days is it's going to happen on March 5th, where they're going to credit 1-to-1 Ethereum Classic to Callisto, and you might get an airdrop of whatever this new token is. So a lot of people will probably be shilling you Ethereum Classic in the coming weeks, and good luck.
Oh man. So before we finish this up, I want to do a little good and bad. From each of your perspective, I'd like to hear from each of you what the most just entertaining or maybe like thought-provoking scam you've seen in the space? Something that made you go, oh shit, that's weird. Like,
What's it?
Let's start with you. Something you heard or saw that you just like, what?
I can't remember the name of it, but I mean, there was absolutely nothing behind the coin. I forget the name what it was, but when I read it, I thought,
That's more than one
yeah, you got no.
coin. That's more than one coin.
But see,
I don't know if you saw it.
what gets me though is that a lot of people are not doing no homework. They just hear they hear the name token, they jump right in, and like some of these tokens, there's just like nothing there whatsoever.
What, and the dev talent, like, that's a huge thing. Like, people, like, anybody comes forward with white paper, and people just jump. And, like, there's no dev team. Like, not even, they're really planning on not ever having a dev team.
Just put in like fake profile pictures on the members. What was your scam?
2013, when the initial coins were, like, you know, the forks were happening, there was someone that was promising a new, I think it was the Dash, the dark
coin?
Yeah, it was coming out, but so anonymous coins were kind of a big thing.
Yeah,
And this, like, so it was okay for anonymous coins or devs to come forward and say, well, I have this new protocol and I promise it's so amazing. And I was like, oh yeah, let's just throw some money at that. And it just gone. It like, they just disappeared. Because that was when you like, you throw money at something and they just.
Yeah, back when like $100,000 was a huge investment. I mean, I think mine, and maybe some of you in this audience know or heard about this, but Zeta Coin. Anybody? Show of hands. Anybody heard of it? Stan, my man. So Zeta Coin was by far the most elaborate scam in the space back in 2014. I fell victim. I bet Marquerite or her husband did. These guys promised to be like partnered with Safaricom and like M-Pesa and a bunch of like shit in Africa where they were gonna like be just like the blockchain based to sending money through your cell phone, and like everyone got real hyped. There was no technology or no like real partnerships behind blockchain, and so this guy Bitcoin Sachs, SACHS on Twitter was his name, and this developer and Conan, Konen, just shilled hard that they were going to be in Africa in I forget the country.
But it wasn't even just on that level. They like had that level, and then they had our friends.
Yeah.
They had our friends wrapped into
everyone
it.
believed
And
it.
so everyone believed it.
Bryce
so then you had your
Wiener-
best friends telling you.
Yeah, Bryce
this is
Wiener was the
best
biggest
ever.
name in the space at the time, and he was like shilling like we're gonna airdrop miners into this country. We're gonna be like letting everyone mine Zeta Coin. This
Wait,
like
you mean like actually airdrop?
airdrop, like literally like we're gonna be
Helicopter.
I
flying.
don't remember that story, but I do remember that. Like,
Yeah.
I remember the stories of like, yeah, you know, like once we free up the African people in
Yeah.
Africa, like Bitcoin is going to be huge.
Yeah, we're gonna be
Do you want to be a
flying,
part of that?
Like 1,000
And that was the
miners
conversation
to-
in
I
2013,
feel like
2014.
it was Kenya, okay.
Yeah.
We're flying in the miners in Kenya. Conan's gonna make a tweet from the M-Pesa headquarters in Safaricom in Kenya. And once this happens, it's just gonna fly. And they made a fake tweet. It was like this 2-week hype cycle. Conan, this fake developer, like just stopped tweeting, fell off the face of the earth for like 3 months. Everyone's like, oh, it's holding out hope. It's like definitely still a scam. It was just like a tragedy. Like honestly, it's all like Utopia now.
A lot
it's
of
like
friends
it's legit the biggest scam in 2014.
A lot of friends like threw tons of money into that, and then that's when the market kept going down and down and down and down and down, like totally down. Bitcoin went down, all the altcoins went down, and they kept going down for about 2 years.
Research Zeta Coin if you want to have a laugh.
So our friends that put in, you know, a few thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I put in a few $1,000s. I was a whole victim.
Like, so a lot of these people never came back. They never
Raise
came
your
back
hand
to
if you've
crypto.
been burned already in crypto.
Couple of you, good for you.
Raise your hand if you're investing in crypto and haven't been burned yet.
Only a
All right,
couple
you're
of
gonna have
guys.
to walk out of the room for a minute.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Just keep your guard up.
So,
There's a couple of things in the space, not in terms of a coin, but there's some outfit out of Canada. They say for $50,000 we'll launch your ICO. I mean, that won't even cover the legal expenses. I mean, so there's a lot of baloney out there. So you really got to do your homework.
It's ripe for scams, for sure. There's a lot of people throwing money around have a lot of money, made a lot of money, that just don't really do the research. You definitely have to be wary of everything.
I was thinking of electronium, actually. I was thinking that it's real funny, like a Monero fork, that all of a sudden, like, the marketing was that you can mine from your phone, because anybody's going to want to do that. But I thought that was a hilarious one. But then I've just been cycling through these. You can't see it. But then that just threw up there.
Heather. Oh, man.
That isn't a coin? That's just like a...
It's $1 airline mile.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, yeah, but on the other hand, JP Morgan just released a thing, which, I mean, you're not supposed to talk about them apparently in crypto circles anymore.
The FICO of crypto?
It's the FICO of crypto. But what their report said was that with the leverage behind Tether, it could account for up to 48% of market cap of crypto in total. And that was actually in a report that was overall positive, saying they wanted to get in to crypto. And that was just recently, in like the last week or two. So imagine that.
Well, Amber Valdez is their lead of their blockchain development research space, and they've been working really closely with Zcash and Ethereum too. So like, I have little doubt that JP Morgan is going to be coming out with their own product that's similar to an Ethereum Zcash hybrid in the next year, 2 years. Like, I'm about like 95% that's happening.
Is it going to have any value to regular people?
Well, no, they have the bank. They already have a product. They already have this platform. So then they can just be like, well, now we have a service, and now we're going to offer you these features too. I mean, they don't have to try very hard.
Right, of course, yeah. Part of the thing about investing in Bitcoin is that, like, you can be your own bank.
Well, and you have a lot of these products coming forward without any actual, like Current has a product, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're coming forward with a product, and now they're saying we're adding blockchain features.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people come forward with, here's an ICO, we're going to build a state-of-the-art product, and we promise we're going to have huge traction, and also we're going to have like amazing blockchain features.
This idea that we put like 12 hours into writing a paper about, like,
And your chance to fail for a startup is astronomical. So, so you have these huge established corporations. They're going to put years of research, like Dragon Chain started out with Disney in 2013, and they put years of research before they launched out this product.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
And it was a whole like section of development. So you have a company like JP Morgan come forward and offering a service. I guarantee it will be like a good product.
Let's go with the good now. Like, what inspires you right now? Why are you taking your time here today? You're here talking about blockchain. Most of it, I mean, I could say all of our lives basically revolve around crypto now. That's our life. So why? What is inspiring you right now?
Well, I think you got to separate the blockchain from the crypto. I think the crypto is just the first.
And both, either or.
Yeah, but I think the crypto is just the first successful app thus far on a large commercial scale for the blockchain, and I think everybody's waiting with bated breath for the next successful case on a commercial scale for the blockchain. I think it's probably going to transform a lot of different industries, although I don't think everybody needs a blockchain. What inspires me, the crypto, well, you got Christine Lagarde, who's head of the International Monetary Fund, saying that she thinks that crypto is going to transform our global monetary system. That's a bold statement. And I think I'm kind of excited to see if she's going to be right. So that kind of excites me the most, is just because right now you have so many naysayers. You know, Jamie Dimon, they don't like it. He loves blockchain. JP Morgan has many blockchain initiatives going on, but it's mainly the crypto. But in corporate America, the crypto is still kind of hairy-fairy. When you talk about blockchain, you're on solid ground. But it's the crypto that I'm more excited about than the blockchain. So.
You're more excited about crypto.
Oh yeah,
It's amazing.
I mean it's the Wild West.
You can't have
It's crazy.
blockchain without crypto.
It's awesome.
It pushes transactions through. It pushes all
No,
the
absolutely.
bases of the
It's
blockchain.
the incentive. It's what draws people.
So,
sure.
right. So, I mean, I'm a cypherpunk. I believe in the crypto as being, you know, the thing to stand on, just like you said. But, like, I believe that people will build a blockchain because it's offering innovation that we haven't seen before. When you have a private blockchain, it doesn't make a lot of sense why you're doing that versus a database.
Yep.
But it's fancy, and they get to, like, talk about it, you know, so there's a selling point there. But I do think that the idea of a decentralized ledger with this distributed networking power of these computers that is such a beautiful idea, and my artist background is telling me that that has huge potential for growth. And I'm really excited for where we can take that just as a humanity, like just breaking the boundaries.
Well, that's another exciting thing that inspires me is the art. You know that singer-songwriter Katy Perry? So she's a big crypto enthusiast. So she painted a different cryptocurrency in each one of her 10 fingernails, took a picture and sent it to her 68 million followers on Instagram. So
Ellen talked
The art's
about
good too.
Bitcoin a few days ago.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm excited about everything surrounding Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency. I think protocol, I think the ability to fundraise, I think the decentralization and the transparency to disrupt a whole bunch of industries is unmatched. And I think we're barely scratching the surface as to what this whole industry can do. And I think that blockchain is the hot button keyword that everyone uses, but there wouldn't be blockchain without cryptocurrency. It's the underlying asset that causes all of the blockchain to move. And I'm very bullish on assets on the blockchain. I'm very bullish on cryptocurrencies that have been here for a hot minute. I think ICOs that have protocols and have products that are launching. Shout out to Current. I think there's a lot of, you know, you gotta do it when it makes sense. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I'm really bullish on blockchain as a whole. I think, and there's so much. We're in the infancy, and there's so much room for expansion, and we're just barely scratching the surface. And I'm really
And room to fail.
Yeah, room
There's
to
so
fail.
much room to fail. Like, go build stuff and like see what works or doesn't work. You know, like.
Yeah, I like that. The build thing, I really want to get to that because I think
Shut up, Union District.
the the move from like just competition to like a collaborative like future is really what's at, and it's enabled, just like you said, by the underlying asset, the fact that you know that if you build a good ecosystem, if you join a good ecosystem and participate yourself, then you're going to raise the value of it. So, and there's not really anything else that you're sure, you just have a promise from someone.
Well, like, so that idea, like the collaboration, right? Open door policy. I don't know how many jobs I've had where I just was able to walk in the door and say, you know, join the community and then start to innovate. I didn't show up with a resume. I didn't show up with like, hey, you know, let's get on an introductory call and talk about like why I should work for you. I didn't do that. I showed up and I just started showing what my value right off the bat.
Yeah.
What other space can you do that in?
Yeah,
She
there's a
showed
lot.
She
Yeah,
started
I
Bitcoin
think-
and started crushing.
I think that's inspiring to people to know that they can do that they got the opportunity. And that's what we want to showcase here. So thank you very much for coming on the panel. We're not going to go through all 50. We're going to close it up here. And come to one of our meetups, please. Come to one of our meetups, talk to us. And
The last bit, there's a good quote from Steve Jobs saying the same thing, right? Share your background, it's your passion.
Yeah, join neondistrict.io, the Telegram group.
buy some pink coin.
Buy some Bitcoin.
Big things
Whatever
happen.
Dave's doing over here, do that too.
Blank, Kim.
Yeah.
Anybody who saw Kim's presentation earlier?
Sign up for Current's airdrop. Current.us.
And thank you guys.
Disruption Joe is the man.